it's just, I'm 44, right? I'm not going to say like I'm old, right? But I am 20 years. I never did social media. I never did marketing. I never did anything for those 10 years, you know? And so it's just a different mindset, you know, and I have to be open to the process or it's not going to work.
Hey, welcome back to the CashPT Lunch Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron, and today I have another special guest, Megan Greco. Megan is a physical therapist, and she's also a member of our Platinum Mastermind, and she is totally crushing it. She told me this last week that she's hired 2 new people, and she's making more now that she's hired more people in her business. And guess what? Her business is out of her home, and I thought this is just such a unique story, and she's got a passion for helping other physical therapists. So I invited her on the show to come share what she's doing, how she did it, and how you can do it too. So, hey, Megan, thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off kind of in a little bit different place than I usually do. Like, what are you doing right now? Like, tell us a little bit about your business. Who do you help? Like what kind of, how many patients are you guys seeing? Can you give me just a little rundown of where you're at?
Yeah, definitely. So I am out of my house. I've been doing it for 10 years now. And it's out of my basement. It's like a separate entrance. So I work 3 days a week now, and I work only the hours that my kids are in school, which is not phenomenal. And then I have hired 2 other PTs. One is fully booked and the other one is growing. She also has other kids, so she is trying to, fit in her time around that. But overall, I'm probably seeing about 18 to 25 a week. And so is my other PT, and the other one is probably like 4 to 6 right now, but she wants to grow probably to about 12.
Yeah. So are you guys seeing in total about 35, 40 people a week or more? What's the,
I
don't know the math in my head.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty steady. It's like 35 to 40 a week. But sometimes it'll go up to 50, COVID, the height of COVID, we were probably seeing like 60 people a week, 70, it was crazy. Yeah. Like people had time for their health, which was amazing.
Was that you that posted a picture of like the person's feet inside your house and the head outside your house?
I have the best. Well, so when we shut down, I live in Maryland. We shut down, and everybody was like, I'm not going to see anybody. And I was like, well, I still want to see people. I'm out of my house, so I definitely can control a lot more. Yeah. And I had this patient who just had like a bunion surgery, and so I was like, he's like 6'7". He's my favorite patient. I think I've treated everywhere on his body, Yeah. And I said, hey, you want to do something funny for social media? And he was totally game. So I put the table through the window and he got on the outside and just put his feet in. And so I said, now doing like drive-by foot therapy, it was so funny.
That's awesome.
So, everybody had to have a good sense of humor at that time.
Yeah. So yeah. That's really great. Yeah. Let's see. So let's go back. I always like to ask, how'd you get into physical therapy in the first place? Was there something that happened or a special story, or was it by default?
Yeah. So this is really ironic you're asking me this, because my daughter is 14 right now, and she has not showed any interest in physical therapy. My husband's a PA, orthopedics. And so she just didn't show any interest, but she started taking a dance class this year. And she's like, the dance instructor there is amazing. And she's just so body-based. Yeah. And yesterday we were picking her classes for next year. And she was like, I think I want to look at some sports medicine and anatomy. And I was like, what? Because at her age, it was 15. I was a sophomore. I was in high school, and I was in every sport, I was just the athletic girl. And I knew that I love to just, that generic, I love to help people, And so that it was career day, and you had to pick whatever one you thought you might be interested in. And I went to a physical therapist's office, and I actually just shadowed for a day, a hand therapist. And the one thing, first of all, I loved I knew that I just wanted to work in sports. And so that was great. But the one thing that she said to me was, do you want to have a family? And I was 15, and I was like, I don't know, but I knew that I did, of course, want a family, I'm sure, in the future. I'm like, sure. And she's like, well, you can always open up your own business. And, whenever you have time, you can see patients around your family time. And that just stuck with me. I was like, oh, well, that's genius. I was like,
Yeah.
yep, okay, we'll do that,
Yeah.
So after high school, I went to Gettysburg College up in Pennsylvania, and then I became an athletic trainer there. And then I went to the University of St. Augustine in Florida. Um, and then from there, I worked in Miami with orthopedic injuries. I worked with a lot of Ironman triathletes and marathoners, and then came to Maryland. And then I was like a clinic director up here for a large, practice. And then when I had my kids, I was like, well, the funny thing is when I was working for this other facility, I wanted to be with my kids all day. So I would actually work 3 days a week as the director, but I would come in at 5 at night when my husband was done. We just trade in the parking lot, and I would work until 11 or midnight.
Wow.
So I asked like my patients, I was like, hey, would you come in? Like if I opened like a 10, 10:30, 11, they're like, absolutely. My kids are down. I definitely will come in to just spend some like time on myself. I was like, all right. So we're like playing softball in the parking lot at 11, 11:30 at night, like rehabbing people. It was super fun. But I got
city was this in?
This was in the place that I worked was Physiotherapy Associates in Clarksville.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm basically running the whole business at night. Yeah. So I was like, I need to find a house that I can just do this out of and do my own thing.
Yeah. So was that your business, or that wasn't your business? That was you working for someone else.
You got it.
And you got to do it at night. And then you're like, I should be just doing this for myself.
Yeah. I'm like, I had my patient load and they came, like, I knew that like when you have a good rapport with your patients and your patients are just like trusting you. Mm-hmm. And then if they could match it with time to take care of themselves, they were like so on board. They were just like, yeah, I want good time. I want good time with the PT, and I want good time once my kids I know are in bed.
Yeah. It was interesting because when I was in San Francisco, people were okay coming to get a massage at 6, 7, 8, and even like some people wanted 9 o'clock. I was like, I'm not after 9. I'm going to go home. When we moved to Greensboro, it was, I think 6 was fine, but no one wanted to come see us at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Is that right?
Okay. Yeah. So we had kids and I was like, great, last patient's at 5.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Great. I was thinking like, well, maybe it was, you were still in the big city. That's why I asked where it was. But so let's see. So you're working out of home. Mm-hmm. Like, what does that look like? I mean, were you just having people come like, well, when I worked out of my home in San Francisco, we had an apartment, it's a 2-bedroom apartment. And I just had to set up my massage table in the living room and had to make sure my roommate was out at work,
Totally.
Is that kind of where you started, or did you guys just build out like a second area, or how did that come about?
So we, first of all, let me just preface this with, I think people, when they trust you, they'll come wherever. Yeah. Like you know what I mean? They'll come to a closet. They'll just be like, can you put your table in here?
They'll come to downtown Greensboro after dark where no one wants to go. Like when we first opened, it was like dangerous. People were like, you're that downtown Greensboro? Like, yes.
Cool. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, they just will. So like, I'm just going to say that, but, I do like to go to places where I'm like, it's kept up. It's, I just personally like to do that. And especially if I'm going into somebody's home, I want to feel comfortable, So we bought a ranch home, and the basement was kind of a walkout, and it was completely unfinished. And so for a little bit, I just treated people in the unfinished space because we really kind of wanted to watch, like it was like a floodplain nearby. So we were just kind of watching, see like what would happen. And then we built it out. And so there was you just walk around to the side and you walk around to the back, and it's a separate entrance. And I did put a bathroom there. It was a bathroom. And when I wasn't working, right, it was shared by the whole house. So, but, and so I just had one room. It was probably like 600 square feet with a table. And I had a treadmill and a bike, because that's just what I used to do. And I put a big mirror on the wall. And all I had were, and still do, bands, like everything's just like functional training, kettlebells, barbells, I never really ever used the equipment, like the big equipment that I had in my other clinics. because I just thought everything was functional. They can't do that at home,
Right.
So I started with very bare minimum. I had very low overhead. It was it's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. Did you guys buy the house with the intention of converting the basement?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you decide, hey, I want to do this. I want to do it at home. We need to move, or were you already moving and this was kind of like a convenience?
We were already moving. We had moved from like a townhome, which I totally could have just done it out of there. And it would have been fine there. And then, but we moved to a house and I was like, you know what, let's do it this way. Cause my priority really was, trying to just, raise my kids as much as I could, but like myself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. If someone, like, while we're on this topic, like if someone was interested in starting a physical therapy practice out of their home, are there like 2 or 3 things that they need to like think about or look out for, that might be different than just a mobile practice or a rental, regular brick and mortar type of business?
100%. So you definitely need to look at your HOA, if there is an HOA, or the zoning, of the places you're looking at or what you already have. There's definitely ways around it, of course, right? But I'm kind of a rule follower. Like now, like I moved into the
first child too?
Yes. No, I'm not. But I'm Catholic, so I don't know if that's
that might be it.
But I just want, and also I always really wanted to like respect my neighbors, to be like, I just always want to keep it like happy, so the HOA really just cares about the traffic that you're bringing to your house, right? So I see one patient an hour, and I get them out before the next person comes. So it's not a lot, if you're really watching, then obviously people know something's up. But so there's a way around HOAs, of course, but that's what I did. I looked at the HOA and I was totally fine. There's a lot of places in Maryland that you can just do your own thing. And it turns out that when I was in my practice in my first neighborhood, everybody on my street had their own businesses running. And then I was like, now you're like looking and you're like, what is going on in this neighborhood through the day? Like everybody has clients coming in and out, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you want to look at that. And then you want to I don't market to anyone. I never marketed, right? Because I don't want randos coming to my house, Right. So when physicians would be like, can I have your card? And I'm like, no, sorry. Like you can call me or but I really want to know who's coming through someone else, Right. And even doing that, I had a full schedule from day one, which was wonderful. So you really just have to be intertwined in the community that you're in. Before you kind of open up into your house, because you have to think about your safety. I've never had one issue in 10 years in my house. Yeah.
Is that because of like just you're getting people word of mouth, or we don't have any issues. I mean, we've got angry people in the last few years because of COVID.
Yeah.
But, it's like people do worry about safety and people coming to their home. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So are there certain things that you're doing to protect yourself, or are you just saying it's not really an issue because of the way that you kind of position everything?
There are a couple people that they did not put I have a form and they fill out like the referral. And when they don't fill that out, I call them and I say, hey, who referred you? So that I can be like, okay. And I know the type of person that is. And, and I think that's crucial to know who's coming to your home, but even in my other offices I worked in, my patients have been great. I've had like 1 or 2 male patients that have just been a little over the line and I didn't feel comfortable with them. And with them, I was just like, okay, we're done with you. I'm not going to see you again, but I have not had that in my home.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. It's a little bit, I wouldn't say bigger. It's more of an issue for massage therapists, and that, that's the background I come from, because people confuse massage with sex, and people just don't know, or they're just idiots,
Yes.
So, but it's good to hear from perspective, like from PT, where the intention of coming PT is different, but it is important to protect yourself when you're going to someone's home, whether you're doing it in your cash practice or for home health or bringing them in your own home.
Yeah. I think the other thing, just quickly, which is obviously super important, is the insurance, right? So, you definitely need to have a good, general liability and umbrella coverage. And if you bring other people on, you really got to be, up to speed with everything that you need to come on to protect yourself and protect your home.
Right. Right. Oh, of course. And
Yeah.
basically, besides those things, it's really just like you renting a place down the street. It just happens to be under where you live.
Yeah. And it comes with amazing tax benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can write off the whole, that portion of your house.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's, and I've gotten with a tax plan, like an actual like tax planner, not just an accountant recently. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like there's so many benefits you can have. So yeah, it's hard though. Like it is hard with the boundary between like work and life because you're, you know, kind of in your space, but, I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
You know,
do you do things like you only go out the front door and come in the back door versus down the stairwell?
I wish I did. I'm like, see ya. And I run up the stairs, you know?
Yeah. That's great. So what, let me see. There's a million questions I want to ask. Let's start with this. Like, what are some of the other, like, are there any like misconceptions people have about like either other therapists you talk to about like what's happening with like having a business in your home or whether they can start one or how to, you know, like how do I market it? I mean, is there something else that would be helpful for people to understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, when I first left my practice, when I was all insurance based, there was no one around me doing cash at all.
Yeah. And
I was really just trying to take advantage of my situation in terms of like my husband made a good living. And I was like, let me just see. Right. And like, I don't know, like if it doesn't work, I'll go back. But I really felt like I had the clientele that would be willing to do this. So, and I paid out of pocket for things and I didn't mind, like, I like choosing who I want to go to. And so, so when I left, the therapist there was like, they were so kind, but they were like, hey, we'll see you when you get back when everybody gets tired of paying cash for PT. And I was like, I was just blown away. So like every year I call them, I'm like, hey, they haven't gotten tired yet.
Yeah.
Like, still not tired, you know?
That's
so
awesome.
I know. So that was like the other PTs were like, And then when I say I'm out of my house, I think it's sometimes people are like, is that legitimate? You know what I mean? Like, and I get it, you know, I think it's smart. But because I'm not in like this big, huge building, I just think I've gotten really comfortable with the type of care that I want to give my patients, and my patients know when they come, that they're going to get the best care they possibly can get. Cause I can just focus on them. I don't have to focus on anything else.
Yeah. That's awesome. And just like, I mean, this is like legit. You're making like, what are you guys bringing in gross? You're like 40, 50,000. I don't know. You said you made 27,000 last month. Was that gross or that was after?
That was after paying.
Paying.
After expenses.
Yeah.
And so I brought on, so the first PT that I just brought on was like, kind of, she was working at another clinic and she's an amazing therapist and has always traveled like an hour to get to her work. And so she lives like 5 minutes away. And she came to me as a patient and I said, hey, you know, do you want to come here? You know, she was like, that would be amazing. So, she has started coming in May of 2021. And so since then, we have doubled obviously what I've been doing. And then so we were probably like high 100s, like 183,000. And if we just stay where we are right now, we're going to be grossing close to 4 at the end of 2022.
Yeah, that's dope. So this isn't a hobby in your basement.
Totally. I know. And you know, I just like, I'm so happy for her because she used to work back to back, like patients, you know how this goes, right? 22 patients a day. And, you know, and now she's like, this is amazing to be able to just like work, I don't know, 18 hours a week. And I'm golfing. She's golfing. She's going to see her kids in college. So, you know, like, she's like, I can have a whole life and still make a really good living. I'm like, it's amazing.
That's awesome. That's so great. It's cool to hear like people like you creating awesome jobs for other physical therapists.
Yes. And my goal is like, I definitely want to pay my PTs well. Like, I think they deserve it. And I'm like, So I raised my price again so that they could also enjoy the benefit and not have to take care of the practice, you know?
Right. That's great. So tell me, let's see. I'm trying to remember. It's been a year and a half since we started working together, right?
Yes.
You started your business 10 years ago. You started your cash practice like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So what was happening at that time? Like this is going great, like 8 years in, and then what was changing where you were like, wait a minute, I need some help, or I need to grow, or something's not working for me? What was happening?
Yeah. Well, I think I was always like, I always just had the mindset like, okay, well, this is what I'm doing and this is enough. You know, like I'm making good money and I'm having balance, but like, how do I grow without putting even more on my plate? Right. Which obviously is I've put stuff more on my plate, but I think it'll be, I'm growing towards something.
Right.
Well, so COVID happened for sure. Right. And, you know, when I've always said to myself, well, I want like the world to stop just so I can catch up and like get some like new ideas going. And that's basically what happened, right? It was like a gift in that way. Like obviously a lot of bad things have occurred, but so it just let me look outside the box a little bit. So I in that first 2 weeks, I got a little nervous because I was like, I knew I could always make a good living when there was someone right in front of me, you know, and I was doing the job, right? And I knew that would never go away unless obviously I got hurt or whatever. And then with COVID, I was like, oh shit, like if people can't come to me or I can't touch them, like where is my living going to come from? And I'll tell you, I was doing telehealth and I was like, this is sucking the life out of me just because I learned how to do it well. But like for those first couple of weeks, I was like, oh my God, you're bringing so much energy to the room and you're trying to do it the same way and you can't do it the same way. And you have to learn all new things, which is great. I mean, so that's still part of our practice now, but I was like, I need to do something that's outside of me just touching people, you know, sounds terrible, but you know what I mean? So I actually listened, I'm going to give a shout out to Greg Todd because he did that 21 and 20 thing. It was like just a free thing that he just put out there for COVID. And I was just listening to it. And I was like, oh, I need a mentor. Like I need somebody who's already done it, like growing and trying to put something else together. And so I went through that and that was great. And I listened to that while I was trying to figure out the world and what the next step was. And then I had always followed you and I had already been doing cash business, but your name just kept coming in front of me all the time. And I was like, let me go back to Aaron and see what he's up to. And I've just kept following you. I just kept looking at all your stuff. And so then I was like, all right, I want to have him as a mentor to help me grow. And I signed on with you. And it was nerve wracking because now I'm paying for somebody else, right? I'm like, what am I doing? And my whole thing is, well, I can do it myself. You know, like that's the thing that takes me down, I think.
You're smart enough, you can do it.
Right. And then really, I mean, like you would probably just say to me like, well, hello, if you could have done it by yourself already, you would have, right? And I'm like, I know, you're right. So I needed somebody to light a fire under my ass to get me going. Right. Because there's so many distractions in my life and everybody else's lives that I want to stay focused. And I do think spending the makes you focus because you don't want to waste your money.
Right.
So, so the one thing that you said to me from the very beginning was you need to make time to do these other things. And I thought I could just do it all the time, you know? And so that was the biggest golden nugget you gave me in the first couple weeks. Of, okay, now let me just focus and start to trust that I can delegate to other people.
Yeah. So, but it took you a while to get some things rolling, right?
Yes.
Like there was like this point you were like, Aaron, you've been telling me like, so can you tell us about, like what did I say or what did you hear and what happened?
You know, I think that this year and a half, definitely I've grown emotionally too. Like there's like a whole process, right? So like I've been doing this in my basement, like, you know, my ego, you know, it's like all there, honestly. Like I've had to really be like, Megan, like, what is your problem? You know, like just do it. Like I think on the last Platinum Mastermind, like retreat, I was like, just fucking do it. Like that, I have it written all over this room, you know, if you tell me to do it, you've already done it. and I'm seeing the group do things and they're implementing it and it's working, that should be enough,
Right.
So I had to get out of my own way a little bit to do these things, a lot. So I've been growing a lot to do these things.
Yeah. Because it's uncomfortable.
It's super uncomfortable. And then you watch people like in the group, they come in and they just do exactly what you say from the beginning and they do amazing, right? And I'm like, motherfucker, like, oh my gosh, like I get off I'm like, come on, and it's just, I'm 44, right? I'm not going to say like I'm old, right? But I am 20 years. I never did social media. I never did marketing. I never did anything for those 10 years, and so it's just a different mindset, and I have to be open to the process or it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now what's changed for you?
My desire for change is a lot more than my discomfort. I'm so like, what I'm saying? Like, or my comfort, I should say. Like, I am actually uncomfortable in my comfort now. Like I'm like, this is too long. I don't want to be comfortable like this. I want to push out and I have to just get my stuff rolling. Yeah. And honestly, I want to, like, I get so excited to talk about this stuff. I love what I've done and I want to teach other people how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome. So do you have like, you have time for your kid? How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
You got 2 kids. And you got family, you got a business downstairs, but you're not you're not treating patients all the time. You're able to like work on growing your business and work on helping other people. Like, okay, awesome. What else is there? Like, are you working out? You got other hobbies? And I barely have time for some of my hobbies.
I know. So I'm going to be completely honest. This, like the COVID time and like me trying to like grow stuff, on the side, it is taken away from my self-care. Like I'm now like, okay, now I gotta like go back and we were just talking about the like kettlebells, I have to get that back in order. And I have ADD, so it's definitely hard for me to manage. And so now I'm like scheduling my time in because but I feel like, there's definitely going to be times where it's crazier and then it's not. And I feel like I'm finally at a place where I'm like, oh, like I can see where this is all going to pan out and like it's already working out. And then I get back into the fold again.
Right. Because you've been probably doing some things where you're putting in the work now and it's going to benefit you later, like building out systems and marketing.
100%. And that's exactly right, actually. So building the systems is really if I had, and actually I was doing it all the way, like all the time, I didn't realize it, but I wasn't putting it together. So then I hired a virtual assistant. You had said that early on, like, why would you do something that you can pay someone else to do for a lot cheaper? And I'm like, oh my God, that's genius. Like, of course you should, right? But I need to hear it from you, and that constant reinforcement of the group saying, oh yeah, well, of course you should do that. So I did that. And now she's putting it together and she's so good at it. She's efficient. I can sleep better knowing that these things are getting done.
Yeah. And now you can use that time for what?
Yeah. Taking care of myself, taking care of my family, and then also growing other things that are going to be more lucrative in the future.
I do see this, like you're clearly smart. I think I'm smart enough, but it's our ego that gets in the way a lot of times.
Yes.
Right. Is it like, whether it's I can fix my body or I can fix my business or I can fix this other problem I have. A lot of times we do need some outside intervention, right?
Oh, and the ironic thing is I actually am a big believer of like surrounding yourself with the people like in all realms of your life, right? Like spiritual life, your physical life, like you make appointments with these people so that you become the person you want to be, right? I think that's super important. This piece has been very hard for me, but I'm like totally getting there, which is, I'm proud of it. Like I know it's going to get there.
Why has it been hard?
Honestly, me, like it's, there's a lot of things like me having to show up to the meetings and put myself out there and go, hey, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? Because, for 10 years, I've just been like making my own decisions, the shots, and I'm still making my own decisions, but I don't have to run it by anybody. Right. And I don't have to do that in the group. But in order to be part of the group, you want to be helping, how you want to help other people, because they're helping me. Like, I'm just like watching them like be successful. And it's amazing and encouraging to watch everyone do so well, you know?
Yeah.
And you want to do that too. You know, you want to help them by your stories too.
Right.
It's just a vulnerable place to be.
It is. It is. It's tough. It's hard to ask for help.
Oh,
right?
yes. Yeah, but you know what? The people that just do it, like they are successful. Everybody's got the ideas, but there's people that implement them are the ones that are like, oh, well, shit, I should have done that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, how many times have we said that? Right. Like,
Right.
why didn't I think of that? You did think of it. You just didn't do it. This guy did it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, what was it? Like, I think there's, I can't remember what it was. It was something like there's, I don't know how many people invented like the sliced bread, but you know, there was the one person that did it. I think, you know, whether it was I don't know if it was like, there were, you know, there's multiple printing presses, but the Gutenberg one is the one that, you know, everyone knows about. You know, and there's a bunch of people that probably thought of it and just never, you know, took action on it. I think,
Totally.
you know, what is it?
Yeah.
Ideas are a dime a dozen, but the implementation is what can, you know, I don't know. I'll have to make this one up. The implementation is what's going to help you, you know, get there first or win or be successful.
100%. And also, like, it's okay to fail. You know, like all these people are like, just fail early, fail fast, you know, like don't wait and then fail, just get them out of the way so that you can be successful. And I think your 80% is good enough. Like that was like so hard for me. I didn't realize how much of a, like, I will wait until it's perfection because I don't feel like a perfectionist, but I will wait until it's perfect.
Yeah.
Till I feel good about it, I should say, you know,
Yeah.
but I love the way that you think. And I'm like, I just got to start putting it up there, you know, and just see how people respond to it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
And
go
by
from
doing
there.
those things, you've like doubled your business in like
Oh,
year.
100%.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny. People love it. Like they're, you know, like
That's so
people are
great.
so, when you're vulnerable, people are open.
Yeah. And did you also have trouble giving away, like getting your patients on someone else's schedule?
Oh my gosh, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible. I'm still bad at it, but now, like when I have new patients come in, I'm like, no, sorry, I'm actually a lie. I'm better. Like, I'm sorry, I can't see you. And I hope they don't go somewhere else because I've never had that. And they don't. They stay because they trust me that I trust my, you know, I trust my PTA.
Right. Yeah, I hear that from a lot of people. They're like, I'm super busy. I'm seeing 40 people a week. And I can't get my physical therapist schedules full. I'm like, you should be putting your patients on their schedule so you have more time. And they're like, no, why would I do that?
Yes. And there are some patients that I just absolutely love to treat. So like, I'm like, I don't want to give them up. But definitely all my new patients. And it helps because she actually works afternoon and evenings and I cannot do it. So, you know, that's an easy built-in boundary for sure.
Right. For sure. Awesome. Megan, is there any questions that I should have asked, but I didn't? You know?
Yeah. No, I feel like I'm really happy with the growth in the mastermind.
Yeah.
For sure. I love seeing other people's growth. And I'm excited to like help other people do what I do because I think physical therapy is like, I know we think it's important. I don't know if other people that have never had it before, they obviously have no idea. Right. And I think in this day and age, like we're really like the gatekeepers, like the primary care for a lot of people, you know, especially now because people can't get into their primary care.
Right.
And I just think PT is really important and the world is kind of changing a little bit in terms of, I think it's really good if everybody has control over their income and not having to like go somewhere where they're kind of under the regulations of having to close, having to open. Like during COVID, I moved my whole practice outside underneath my deck. And I got infrared heaters. Because we had that early time, we had no idea, you know, and people didn't feel comfortable. So I was like, well, that's fine. You want to go outside? You know? And they were like, yeah. So I literally just moved the table outside. And they were like, okay. So we did that. We did it through the summer. People loved it. You know, they're like, this is beautiful out here. And I'm like, okay, I just moved all my weights and everything outside. That's the amazing thing of owning your own thing. You make the rules.
Right. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I especially loved it in COVID when there was like, you had no control, that I still had some control.
Right. That was cool. Yeah. We did some outdoor treatment as well. We had we had a little bit of mosquito problem we had to fix, but we had that under control.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was easy. And you're speaking at PT BizCon on a little bit about how to start a in-home physical therapy cash practice, right?
Yeah, I'm super psyched about it. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm pumped. So if you guys want to hear more from Megan about how to do that, make sure you check out ptbizcon.com. It's going to be March 18th and 19th this year.
Awesome.
And come see her speak about that. Megan, this is so awesome. If there was anything else that you felt like a lesson you've learned or that people should know, or someone who's even trying to, take their business and grow it beyond just them and hire other people, is there another piece of advice that you have?
I would say get your own house in order in terms of you. Mm-hmm. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know your boundaries. What kind of life do you want to have? Right. And stick to it, because you should. I think Jess Jenny does a great job about that, creating her life, her life around her work. And I have done the same thing. I have often kind of, my boundaries got a little gray because I was nervous that I would lose the client. Mm-hmm. Have confidence, I've never lost a client, and just get your own emotional health in order so that you can be ready and available for every patient. And then when you want to hire more PTs, you're going to be even better set up. So that's what this first year and a half, of me, trying to work through, just that heels in the ground, right?
Yeah.
Do that now, right? While you're in school, and just have confidence that there are so many patients out there and they want your help. And you don't need to be 100% the best, get everything in order. You don't have to do any of that. They just want a caring person to listen to them and help them reach their goals. That's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super important. Yeah, totally. So Megan, where, if someone was to reach out and connect with you online, what's the best place for them to do that?
www.megangrecodpt.com.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. So
Thank you.
We'll put the link in the show notes for you guys.
Oh, I did my first TikTok last night.
You did your first TikTok?
Yes. Awesome. It was 7 seconds long. It took me an hour, but whatever. I'm getting better at it.
Cool. And are you also on Instagram or?
I am. Yeah. Yes. Megan Greco DPT.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, Megan. Well, thanks for joining us on the show. I'm looking forward to having you speak at PT BizCon this year.
It was my pleasure. Yeah. I had a blast. Thank you so much. You have been super helpful to me. So I'm looking forward to the next year for sure.
Awesome. Absolutely. And you're very welcome. I would say, y'all make sure that you join us on the next episode. But before you do that, go out, take some action, get your house, your brain, your ego, everything in check and in order so you know exactly what you want, and then go get it.
And kick some ass for sure.
We'll see you on the next show. Thanks, y'all.